What's the phrase? Say the quiet thing out loud. Yeah, bleeding cool. Which, by the way, is it me or does this site seem even more generic than it used to be? Like every time I go here, I expect more graphics and videos or things like that moving around. Instead, I see this very generic white blog looking thing that Rich Johnston's put together. So, anyway, this article in the site was kind of like down for a minute. I saw this and I tweeted about it and couldn't get it to come up. And anyway, I want to get to this article because I thought it was very, very interesting. So, he has done this sort of rebuking series. Rich loves to do these little series that kind of connect each one. You can go back and do all that. We're talking about comic retailers say the funniest things, which, by the way, was this weird, generic pointing out the facts. Like there was nothing particularly insightful about that art, that thing that he's making a big deal about. But all right, whatever. But what's interesting is he quotes the comic store, Comics Conspiracy. This is Ryan Higgins is the owner. It's a California store. It's based in California. And he writes this. This is what Ryan Higgins writes. He goes, just pure bigotry from many retailers these days. I'd prefer the whole industry burn tomorrow than side with them. Go back to whatever garbage CG has on Indiegogo and get out of the industry. Keep publishing this stuff. So basically, this is more like the agenda stuff at DC and Marvel has turned away so many customers, and this person would rather see it continue to decline because of agenda. Okay, so he's obviously in that camp, that team. But I want you to get this post. This post says it all right here. This needs to be bookmarked and earmarked forever. Maybe I can make it even bigger for you guys because I really want this to sink in. This is crazy. I can't believe. Look at this. It goes, and despite being one of the most liberal areas in the country, our best-selling comics are all by middle-aged, straight, white guys. Okay. Huh. Okay. And he says, wow. My customers aren't buying Iceman or Tim Drake either. There's a reason those books get canceled quickly. Okay, so he is chronicling what people buy, who the customers are, and the fact that Iceman and Tim Drake are complete jokes. Okay, but then he says, but Marvel and DC have to try. Why? Like, don't you want to sell some comics? Don't you want people to make some money? Don't you want some, they're going to keep reaching out to new audiences because mid 40s straight white guys like myself eventually stop reading, usually when we're dead. What? I mean, okay, let's just take him quite literally that he's mid 40s, he's 45. The average life expectancy is 75. So 30 years. So are you telling me that we should cast you aside in the next 30 years of your life, however much time is spent in comics, because you think there's an audience out there that they have to try to get that would buy Iceman and Tim Drake, even though none of that is happening in liberal California? Note, liberal California, because most places would be less likely to buy Iceman and Tim Drake than that target audience. Like, why are they not turning out to buy Iceman and Tim Drake? They're the ones this is written for. Why keep trying if they're not buying it? This is nuts. This is nuts. Now, you can argue about quality, which is a concern. No, it is a major concern. There's a lot of bad comics out there. Indeed, there are. But there always is. That is actually true. Sales on Amazing Spider-Man aren't falling because of some woke propaganda. No, I don't think Amazing Spider-Man is overtly woke per se. I think it's just not very good. I think it's just sort of like this Zeb Wells writing weird fan fiction-y stuff, and it's just not very good. I also think Amazing Spider-Man sales are not falling because of like bizarre diehard Spider-Man fans. Like I think there's something to be said for the main three, well, and I can't say X-Men anymore, but Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, there's a core audience that will always just, they're in it to win it. They're always going to have it. But that goes against what you said earlier. Like, you think the mid 40s people should be thrown out. But anyway, that's just me. DC didn't take a major hit during Night Terrors because of some gay character. No, it was crap. There's quality and editorial concerns for sure, again, like there always have been. There haven't always been this level of quality and editorial concerns, though. So, are there concerns? And have there always been problems, or have there always been bad things? Sure, but not to this level. Like, listen, Ryan, you can go to almost any comic book. First off, let's go back to Night Terrors, because Night Terrors, the tragedy of Night Terrors was the fact that it interrupted Dawn of DC's reboot with a Halloween themed, or at least a horror themed, or at least some sort of dark element in the middle of the summer. And then we're all supposed to pretend that it mattered when it doesn't matter. It's a horrible waste of all of our time. I did not bother with it for that exact reason. It was clear that's what was going to be the case. Things like the post-pandemic opening up of travel and sports and the recent economic roller coaster cause way more problems. Well, that is all very true. Now, here's where it gets fun. Targeted hate groups like CG will pull some fence sitters away from the industry. See, Ryan, what if I were to tell you that targeted hate groups like certain DC or Marvel writers have pulled some fence sitters away from the industry? Would you agree with that statement as well? Pandemic driven speculation and subsequently people cutting back when their investments don't pan out are likely hurting the indie companies more than anything. Okay, hold on. Pandemic driven speculation, subsequently people cutting back while their investments don't pan out, hurting indie companies more than anything. But I don't see how cutting all new comics helps you. Okay. The speculation market and the stuff is very reminiscent of the 90s, where people were buying during the pandemic, sports card and comics and collectibles and things like that, and they didn't flip fast enough or they got stuck holding the bill. But I don't think those were people that were in it for long term anyway. But why that makes no sense why that is a hurting the indie companies. I would think that it actually probably hurts the big two, well, probably more Marvel than even DC, because most speculation and most false inflated stuff was on the Marvel side of things, especially because of the movies and the TV shows. I mean, there was a massive run up on the first appearance of US Agent, and that run with Falcon and Winter Soldier, and like Falcon's sidekick, Black Captain's Falcon sidekick, a run up on all of these issues. Those were part of it, and basically it didn't go anywhere because the show didn't like blaze the saddles. But a first 9.8 graded John Walker thing went bonkers for a while. So I don't think it has anything to do with indie comics per se. Anyway, so it's interesting that they kind of know what some of the problems are, and yet they misdiagnose solutions to those problems. Like they conflate the things that fit their already preconceived notions rather than just try to have an objective thing. Like, he's not totally wrong about most of his points in a way, but then it's also like, well, that's not the whole picture. And you're very, very slanted against like the CG guys and all that too. And I will say, you as a retailer clearly have an agenda, because you're not interested in just making money. You're interested in having Iceman and Tim Drake put out there. You're not interested in selling CG books. You're not interested in trying to just do whatever you can do to get good customers. Like, I got to be honest, as a person who wants to kind of move more in 24 towards like the eBay store, my store, I want to get more CG stuff. I want to get more independent creators. I would rather have an independent creator like Jason Sandberg, figure out a deal with him to get 20 copies and I can sell through the eBay store, because maybe that would be easier to reach new customers and get ship it, ship here, ship there, whatever it may be. I'd be more open to do that than I would be to like, oh no, those are bigots. I don't want to deal with them. Now, part of my aversion to new comics is they don't sell fast enough, and I can't sell them at this $3, $4, $5, $6 cover price when they're worth like $1 a year later. That's just not good business. So I just couldn't believe that even in liberal California, they're not doing that. This is not selling. This is crazy. Wow. Quiet part has been spoken out loud. So this is a comic category. So feel free to leave your comments. All the comments on comic videos go into the hopper for a weekly giveaway for one of the graphic novels here during the month of December. So make sure you're doing that, taking part of that. I appreciate all of you so much for watching. I am Pops.
Hi, beautiful.